answer. So the monitoring one is missing. So you know that he's not here. She's not.
He's not here.
He.
Yes.
Oh, you have a co-author as a she.
Okay, me.
Yeah.
The presenter, she's not now.
All right.
She's my co-author.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let me highlight differently this one. So you going first, and then you will be the second, and you will be the third one. We are going to lock the door, not letting anyone going out.
More going out than coming in. We should have started. I'm also going to run out in 45 minutes.
All right. No, so we're starting at least, morning. Let us start because now it's we're nearly there. Otherwise, please join us actually in front. Yes. I would suggest that you also join us in front.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and very welcome to our technical sessions of 4-5. This is the technical session related to African land administrations. We were supposed to have 4 presentations in this session, but we just learned that we're going to have 3 as one of our presenters is not here. So, but definitely we then have a better timing arrangement that we can go ahead with the 3 presentations. My name is Abbas Rajabi Fard. I am a professor in land administration and special data infrastructure from University of Melbourne, Center for SDI and Land Administration. And I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to sharing this session and introducing our esteemed presenters this morning. What I would like to ask each of our colleagues that presenting, that when you're going through your presentation, please make sure that at the end, consider one takeaway message that out of your presentation, what would be really that point that you want us to take with us when we go out. So when you're covering all of your dimension of the topic, please consider one takeaway from your perspective as a researcher in that context. So the first presenter, we'll have our colleague, Professor Adam Achami. Yes. Adam is the Associate Professor and Researcher of Land Administration and Governance at Bahir Dar University in Ethiopia. He holds a PhD and also master degree from Royal Institute of Technology, KTH, in Sweden, in land management, and also a bachelor degree in geography and environmental study from the same university in Ethiopia. And he's currently serving as a Dean of Institute of Land Administration in Bahir Dar University, which we're very happy to have Adam with us. And the topic that Adam is going through the presentation, as you can see, is related to the understanding of how local community, participatory and participations and the free, prior and informed consent normal functions in the context of land acquisition for agricultural investment in Ethiopia. With that, please join me to welcome Adam.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think the bio you have is not the updated one. Yeah, I am already promoted to Professor recently.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for that. The one that they sent last
is just previous bio, maybe.
Yes, that's okay. We're very happy to have you, and congratulations for your promotion to full professor.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
My topic, research topic, is understanding how local community participation and free, prior, and informed consent norms function in the context of land acquisition for agricultural investments in Ethiopia. Mainly, it's intended to insights for responsible land governance. This research was financially and technically supported by GIZ S2RI projects. As you can see also, I am here representing two institutions. One is Bahir University. I'm working as a professor in the of land governance in the university. And also I am also serving as president of Ethiopian Land Administration Professionals Association. So I'm representing two institutions here. My presentation outline includes introduction, which I will present background and context, and I will also have just briefly present about conceptual and technical context related to impact community participation. And this presentation also includes research metrics and materials, and it has also findings and discussion, final remarks, and policy implication, and finally, I have a takeaway message. To start with, Ethiopia is one of the developing countries in Africa, and its economy and livelihood is largely dependent on agriculture, which is highly dependent on the land resource. And we have also a long history of agricultural practice. More than evidence shows that agricultural practice in Ethiopia started before 3,000 to 2,000 years ago. And we are also endowed with, Ethiopia is also endowed with abundant natural resources, which is suitable for agriculture. Out of the total area, about 11 million hectare of land. Out of this, 74 million hectare of land is suitable for agriculture, according to the report from Ministry of Agriculture. However, the sector is still in its traditional and subsistence form in small scale is very dominant. Understanding this challenge and problem, the government of Ethiopia has identified large-scale agricultural investment as a key priority intervention area for national development. And this intention of the government's intention is highly reflected on those strategic plans endorsed since 1990s consecutively, like for example, agricultural land development led that's economic strategy. It is highly large-scale agricultural investments highly promoted in this national development plan. Again, in the national growth and transformational plan of the first and the second, and the current existing national plan that's known as homegrown economic reform. Within this reform, which was launched just 3 years ago, which will stay for until 2030. In this national reform plan, more emphasis is also given to large-scale agricultural investment and large-scale projects. With this, as part of this government's commitment, large tracts of land have already identified, especially for those lands which are suitable for agricultural investment. About 3.5 million hectares of land is already identified and available in the land bank. Out of this, approximately 2.4 million hectares of land has already been allocated to foreign and local agricultural investors. And the government has also been offering incentive schemes such as tax exemptions and so on and so as to promote agricultural investment. And understanding the importance of this sector and the challenges associated to the implementation of large-scale agricultural investment, especially in relation to the acquisition of land, GIZ has been implementing a program called S2RI projects to support land governance practices in the implementation of agricultural investment. Especially, this project is mainly focused to support the land acquisition process and the land governance process in the context of agricultural investment. as we know, one of the primary principles of responsible and sustainable agriculture is local community participation and obtaining free and prior informed consent from the local community is very crucial and very important because free, prior, and informed consent from local community members affected by land acquisition decisions are as a means to ensure sustainability of the agricultural investment. So it's very important, a crucial element in the process of agricultural investment. So obtaining local community's consent, participating in the local community is a key to ensure the sustainability of the agricultural investment. However, evidence shows that little research has been conducted on how local community participation and consent norms function in the context of land acquisition in Ethiopia. So because of this research gap and implementation gap, this research was initiated. And the aim of this research is to offer analytical understanding of how local community participation and FPIC norms function in the process of land acquisition for agricultural purpose. This is the purpose of the study. To briefly share you what really is responsible agricultural responsible land governance, in the mainly focusing on taking the emphasis on local community participation. As we know, both local community participation and FPIC are considered as founding principles in the responsible land governance. When we say responsible governance is just acting responsibly or desirably, especially from social, economic, and environmental point of view. So when agricultural investment is taking a very huge land for agricultural investment purpose, for commercial agricultural purpose, but in the due process, it is expected to be implemented in a very desirably and in way, especially from social interest point of view, from economic point of view, and environmental point of view. And that's known as what we call it responsible governance of land. So FPIC as a tool to realize responsible land governance fundamentally emphasizes on how to protect the land rights and other interests of the local community. It's because a means to gain local community. When the implementers are looking for FPIC, I mean the government officials, it means that they are also gaining local community interests, according to Franco. Responsible governance is also a tool for empowering local people and ensuring full and effective participation in decisions that affect their land resources and livelihoods. And it's also, according to my professor, Jack Zavenbergen, is here. Crucial. It's also crucial for inclusivity and collaboration in land development projects. It's also about encouraging shared responsibilities and disseminating information to elevate public resource. So it's very crucial to work towards local community participation and FPIC, so as to it's also a means. It's very important to implement those act responsibly and promote and enable responsible land governance. When we see the local context, the legal and policy context, the emphasis given in the legal and policy frameworks endorsed at national level in Ethiopia, we can see that various legal and policy frameworks have been endorsed by the government of Ethiopia, so as to recognize and create an enabling environment for community participation in the project implementations. As it's also one of the key issues, emphasis also given even in the Constitution. Article 43 of the Constitution gives that citizens have the right to participate in the national development agenda. So it's a right, even as it's indicated in the Constitution. And it's also, due attention is also given to community participation in other legal and policy frameworks, like, for example, the expropriation proclamation of the 2019. Community participation is considered as the primary principle of expropriation, one of the key principles of expropriation or land acquisition, as indicated in the legislation, is one of the key principles. It's also emphasis also given in the drafted social and environmental code practice. In this code as well, emphasis is also given to the local community participation code. Even in the land administration use proclamation and other legal frameworks, emphasis is given. It is given to local community participation. However, the problem is, there are concerns in Ethiopia about how community involvement norms are being put in practice, particularly when land is being acquired for agriculture. So we have in the legislation and policy frameworks, it's clearly indicated that local community participation is one of the key requirements for project developments. But when it comes to the implementation and the practice, there are concerns and gaps. And that's why this research is also indicated. So as the research method and the materials, this research is mixed and descriptive research approach was employed by using both qualitative and quantitative data so as to achieve the purpose of the study. We have also used both primary and secondary source of data. The data covers three project regions. These are Gambela regional states, Benishangul regional state, and the Amara. So three regional states are included as a case study areas in this study, because these are the areas where large-scale agricultural investment is largely implemented and practiced at national level. And that's why this research has also focused to include, targeted to include as case study area of this study. So when it comes to the findings and the discussion part, local community participation and informed consent in practice, when emphasis in this in the discussion is given more to the land identification and the verification process, environmental impact assessment process, business plan preparation and approval are the key activities that need community engagement and consent. So based on this, we have tried to see the trend, the status, and the practice of the community participation in different stages of large-scale agricultural investment, mainly focusing on the land identification and verification process. Well, as I said, one of the key issues, one of the key activities in the process of large-scale agricultural investment is land identification and verification for agricultural investment. Well, the assessment, the data collected from the local community representatives shows that about 91%, 91.7% of the local community representatives reported that they have never been participated, even consulted in the process of land identification. They also had that the decisions were made only by the government officials. So this shows that very little emphasis was given to consulting the local community about the availability and suitability of the land. So it's in the as a procedure, land availability and suitability is expected to be consulted and identified in consultation with the local community, and it's also expected to have consent from the local community. Discussions in the FGD as well as key informants are also confirmed in a similar way. So this shows that very little emphasis was also given to the local consulting and participating, getting consent from the local community. As we know, prior information disclosure about the type of investment, the required land for it, and investment operations, including lease contract terms and other issues related to agricultural investment is very crucial so as to ensure the sustainability of the project. Because it's also important for community level consensus about the new project. So just providing prior information, making consultations, participating in the local community, and collecting their views is believed to be important for community level consensus about the new project. It's also expected to give, it's also important for them to give. If they have prior information, they can give or withhold consent to and also they can also negotiate the conditions under which the project will be designed. But in reality, the practice shows not in such a way. The majority have not consulted, and they don't know even what's going on in their locality. The other, as a procedure, as it's also indicated in the investment procedure, in large-scale agricultural investment procedure, it's also so as to get the opinions of the local community. As a procedure, it's also expected to have a public display session about the area, including for agricultural investment, including having a sketch map and so on and so on. So the identification of a potential land for investment now needs to be supported by, was expected to be supported by a map or a sketch map. And this is also good international experience also shows that the draft map with all details needs to be displayed in a public place for comment. But this assessment study shows that the practice of having this kind of public display is completely not there. It's more completely top down, and the chance to get views and comments from the local community and the other stakeholders is almost non-existent. No experience of posting maps and sketches at a public place, and the concept is new and it has never been done in study areas. Even they don't know, the experts don't know they just measure the land and then they transfer it to the land without even having discussion with the local community representatives there. The other issue which needs discussion with the local communities, about business plan and AIA preparation. To obtain land and to enter into land lease contract, an investor has to secure an investment license, provide business project proposal, and EIA documents to the local authorities. And this business plan, and as well as EIA, is expected to be also prepared based on the context of the local community, based on the interests of the local community as well. And it's also expected to collect information, data, even from opinions from the local community. Because this business plan is a guide that enables enables the investor in the community to get benefits out of it. It is also the feasibility of the business shall be evaluated by all stakeholders, including the local community representatives. But the local community representatives involved in the question survey have reflected that they have never seen a forum or a workshop organized to present a business plan to the local community. Similarly, EIA states environmental impact assessment studies have never been presented and shared to the local community, and they don't know the impact of the project, the environmental impact, the social impact, and so on and so on. In reality, it was expected to consult them, and it was also consulting them was also expected also have provides a chance for the researcher or the impact assessment or mitigation strategies will be was expected to be also even opinions on those can also be expected to be obtained from the local community, but it was not. Yeah, similarly, the FTP discussions and key informant comment is that AI is presented by the investor after agricultural land has acquired, and it does not have any impact on the land acquisition and transfer process because they first take the land and then they conduct a study about environmental impact assessment. So they may not be, it may not affect the investor whether they have a study or not. So majority of investors have built their undertaking agriculture without conducting even actual environmental impact assessment. They copy it from the other and then they bring it without considering the context of the area. Many of the investors even prepare AI documents without considering the realities and the context, especially in the two regional states, Gambela and the Benishangul regional states. Large tracts of land has been transferred to investors without knowing even investors' access capacity. The other point, as indicated in the investment guideline, is that land which is expected to be transferred to the investor should have to be free, unoccupied, or unutilized. This is one key principle indicated in the investment guideline. However, the practice shows that the principle of transferring free land and unutilized land to investors seems not fully respected. And as you can see here, all types of land have already been transferred to investors, such as grazing lands, hunting land, grounds, shifting cultivation areas. All these different types of lands have already been transferred to, which means these lands are not free and underutilized. They are already utilized, being utilized, used by the local community. So it needs discussion, consultation, even if they need that land for a better development for the project, it needs further discussion in but that was not the reality. When we see the local community investor relationship, because of all those dissatisfactions with the local community, there is a wider feeling within the local community that investment projects have contributed nothing to the betterment of their livelihood. They feel that the projects, those large investment projects, they feel that are not contributing for the betterment of their livelihood. There is this widespread feeling among the local community. The majority of the investors are not welcomed by the local community even. There are instances of conflict between the local community and investors because of the investors' failure to stick to the promise they made, because of the involvement of investors in illegal, even uncontrolled expansion and occupation of land, grazing lands and forest lands. There is also a boundary conflict between investors and the neighborhood smallholder farmers. There is also blockade of road access of the local community by investors, and absence of adequate continuous dialogue and engagement is also another problem that leads to conflict in the community. And finally, as a final remark, the status of the implementation of responsible agricultural investment principles in Ethiopia shows that it gives little emphasis to the local community participation, interests, rights, centers. Land transfer to the investors has been largely top down. There are limitations in FPIC. Principles of transferring free and also not fully respected. It largely has not been guided by the land use planning suitability study. So in general, the practice of land acquisition is largely prepared to operate in accordance with the national norms of responsible governance. As a policy implication, I suggest to give more emphasis to the sensitization and promotion of responsible land governance principles and guidelines to the implementing agencies and other stakeholders. Organizing and facilitating continuous awareness creation about this. Empowering the local community is also one of the important issues which needs to be considered. Incorporating the BGT and RIE principles in national and regional legal policy frameworks, as well as in the recruitment and evaluation criteria of investment projects. So it's also important to address political decision makers via policy briefs and formalization, familiarization programs. As a takeaway message, as an extension of this research, future research attention in the area of collaboration should have to be focused on responsible land governance, climate change, resilience, and societal transformation. And it's very important to understand, examine, in Ethiopia, government is implementing those big land administration projects, but it is not, we are not very sure about whether these projects are climate resilient and enabling social transformation. With this intention, a grand research team has initiated this project idea. We have a grand research team in Bahir University that's interested to work on this very big thematic area. So if you are interested, we can elaborate. And also, we have another big issue is responsible land governance, nexus between inclusive and participatory urbanization, because urban areas are expanding rapidly, and big government projects are also taking a huge land from peri-urban areas. But it's also very important to see from the principles, the concepts of responsible land governance point of view. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great opening talk, and hopefully we can adopt some of those lessons through this. I would like to open for questions or comments or. Yes,
I can help.
so yeah.
Thanks, Achan, for a very interesting overview. Your conclusion is that the rules are not really followed, but if they would follow the rules precisely, would there be any large-scale investment happening in the future?
Yeah, yeah. It's obviously, if the rules are not being followed, we have the rule, but those rules are expected to be followed and implemented appropriately and properly. This obviously leads to discourage even the investors, especially those foreign investors coming to Ethiopia. If they feel that the rules are not being followed, there is a big problem of governance problem and so on and so on, it will be a very, very difficult challenge. Previously, in the last 2 decades, because of this food crisis in 2007 and 8, as an alternative, one of the as governments have taken as a strategy to take land and massive land and transfer it to the investors, both foreign and local investors, and investors they came to invest in the area, believing that all those procedures will be properly implemented and applied, but later on, as we can see, there are gaps, limitations, and it will discourage even the investors, and it will not be a challenge in the future.
If you follow all the procedures and involve the citizens, the local landholders, etc., would they be willing to accept the investments, or will they always be against it? I think that's the big unknown.
Well, always the local, if you ask someone, if you are taking a land of someone, always they resist. It's obvious, but it's also, we need to also understand that expropriation is also unavoidable if it's for a better development, for the better for improving the livelihoods of the local community in the area. But always, we should not expect that the local community always will accept willingly and positively. But what we need to do is we need to consult them, we need to aware them, we need to discuss with them, and then they will be convinced. They will be convinced, and they will just accept. Okay, this is good for us, so we need to support it. We need to accept. So I think, yeah.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or question? If I may have a question. So I think taking what Professor Yap has raised related to the investments, if those rules actually have been adopted to be a bigger investments in the area management, you have actually indicated about the community consent, but are there any system for registering those consents that can be maintained, and if anyone actually changing their decisions, because we have seen in another country that the community have actually signed their agreements for putting the registration into their land, and then the bank and other investors started actually working on that, but then it actually realized that the community have changed their plan. And that actually started generating series of new challenge into that community, particularly in one particular case, just keep the name of that jurisdiction, that the investors has already invested and they put the new infrastructure on top of that. And then they didn't allow the group to come and use that because they have changed their plan. And there was no any guidelines that actually how to manage that type of rights, into that. Any type of, perhaps formal registrations that would facilitate that type of, perhaps situation.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to let you know that in Ethiopia, all land in Ethiopia is public land.
Yes.
Belongs to the state, whether it's used by the local community or by individuals.
That's different, yeah.
Yeah, so government has the upper hand. They expect that this land, all land, belongs to the government, and if they need for investment purpose, with this wrong understanding in the intention, they go there and they measure, and that was what was happening most of the, especially in those far remote areas. They are largely unsettled areas, utilized areas, but local communities are there using the land for different, for hunting, fishing, whatever purpose. So with this, the system, the question you raised, we don't have that system registering the consent. We have not reached to that stage. Yeah? So what is for the time being, what we need is we need to consult them, we need to aware them, we need to participate them, and sometime maybe we can also have that consent kind of agreement and so kind of agreement system. So for the time being, we don't have that system. They just we don't have that one.
All right, that's good. Any other? If not, thank you again very much. We can continue because the other two presentations also relating different dimensions of the management of the land in Ethiopia. So hopefully we can get a better understanding on this. So thank you again very much, Professor Adam. I would like to invite our second speaker, Dr. Solomon Chekul. And we're very happy to have Solomon. And Solomon is, am I right on that one, assistant professor, or hopefully very soon be promoted to full professor. I just want to make sure that we mitigated that risk. So he's the assistant professor at the Institute of Land Administration, Bahir, similar university, Dar University in Ethiopia. And also Solomon has actually gained his PhD, which was actually in land policy and governance from the same university. And I think that's a really very important, again, angle, particularly from the system perspective design that. And Solomon is going to talk about the application of an integrated survey approach for urban cadastral systems. Over to you, please. Please join me in welcoming Solomon.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Abbas. Right, your name is correctly.
Absolutely, you've done well.
Okay, thank you very much. I am really happy to be here in front of Professor Abbas and other scholars like Professor Jab. So really, I am really happy to present my research title on application of an integrated survey approach for urban cadastral system. So my presentation outline will follow those five aspects: brief introduction on the overview of integrated survey, which is a smart station, and the research gap, objective, research methodology, and finally result and the conclusion. So Ethiopia is a country with a dual land governance system, which is categorized as urban land governance and rural land governance system. So both categories will have their own institutional and legal framework. For instance, the urban land governance is institutionally overseen by the Ministry of Urban and Infrastructure, and legal-wise, legal-wise, it is governed by Proclamation number 721, which is a lease proclamation which governs all urban lands through auction and allotment system. And institutionally, it is the urban system also includes the urban cadastral system under the urban land governance system. Under the rural land governance, institutionally it is governed by Ministry of Agriculture, in which it is regulated by Proclamation number 456 under perpetual permit system. So both in the cadastral system is also divided as the urban and rural cadastral system. So my intention is my research area lies under the urban cadastral system. So the urban cadastral system of Ethiopia is regulated by Proclamation number 818 and executed by different regulations and directives. The type of cadastre that Ethiopia is implementing is legal cadastre. Beyond the beyond the multipurpose and fiscal cadastre. So currently, under this proclamation, the legal cadastre is under implementation, even though it is not that much successful. So this proclamation includes and it should fulfill those three requirements. The first one is base map, parcel map, and cadastral index map. So this requirement has to be first fulfilled. And the second one, with regard to right, restriction, and responsibility, there will be a kind of document which has to narrate and document these elements. And the final is a unique identification code, or the parcel code has to be attached to this urban cadastre. So when I come to my research area, because it is about accuracy assessment of between surveying instruments, despite many advantages, surveying using only total station and GPS has disadvantages, because surveying only through total station will be restricted because it needs control points, traversing, or resection points like that one. So it needs as a start point, it needs at least control points. Then when we survey also with GPS or differential GPS, it's also disadvantaged by an overhead satellite obstruction, so that those limitations or those problems will be solved by integrating those instruments to be used as one instrument. So an integrated survey is an approach that combines both differential GPS and total station as one instrument, so that we can use it as one instrument, which is called a smart station. So as a research gap, the use of total station and GPS has been in use since their introduction. However, they are not flexible in the spatial data capture to provide for varying views because of the problems I mentioned. So due to this, practitioners in the area have introduced an approach called smart station, which is combining total station and GPS together to form a single instrument and to operate as a single instrument. So my main objective is to evaluate the performance of smart station approach in terms of accuracy, time expenditure, and cost in comparison to the separate use of GPS and total station. So as a method, first, in order to test this, the performance of these instruments, first I have established a network of consisting of 9 control points, which were those points were purposely selected in order to avoid satellite obstruction, so that those 9 control points will be served as a reference for the other measurements, because those those points are measured accurately and with with 2 phases, especially using total station. I measure 2 phases measurement so that preserving their accuracy and their precision in order to eliminate some kind of errors. So to investigate this one, Leica total station 1205, Leica differential GPS equipment, and LGO software we have used to investigate the performance. Finally, ANA course, which is continuously operating reference station, which is located at Bahir University, in order to post-process and in order to make a kind of RPA measurements. We have this course station, so that based on this one, I have established as a reference network. So in order to calculate the mathematical calculations related to closing error or disclosure error of the traverse, standard deviation or precision of the measurements, and accuracy of all the measurements, I have used all these formulas, so that based on those formulas, I have investigated the accuracy of all the instruments. So in the beginning, based on ANA course or the reference station, I have established 2 points, because when using total station, at least 2 points are needed in order to establish that network, so that the last 2 points, WO2 and WO3, were established based on the ANA course through post-processing, so that through this process, it was possible to obtain below millimeter accuracy level, so that we can say this is best references for the rest of the 9 points in order to be used as a benchmark. So those 9 points were established as a reference value, or we can say as a true value, because those true values are reference, or we can say that it is error-free, even though not, it is error-free for the other references, so that based on those reference values, the other the other approaches will be evaluated based on this accuracy. So this true value or this traverse was computed with a misclosure error of 6 millimeters, so that it is below our standard. It is below within our tolerance limit, so that it is 6 millimeters. So we can accept this one as it is. So we can use it as a reference value for the rest of measurements. So based on this true value or this reference value, I measured the first place with total station on the same point, so that I got such kind of differences. So with X dimension and with Y dimension, there are almost below centimeter measurements, so that those centimeter measurements will be investigated in terms of root mean square error. So the total station measurement finally provided a kind of assessment accuracy result, which is 5 millimeter. So the last value shows the accuracy of this measurement. So this is the first approach, which should be compared with the smart station, and then in the same point, in the same network with real-time kinematics RFK measurement. Also, I have taken that measurement, and in the same way, those differences between the observed values, the RFK value, and that of the reference value, which was taken as a true value, so that the difference still it is within the tolerance limit, so that if, in this case with the RFK, I investigated like 2.1 centimeter. So this will be also compared with that of the smart station. Finally, I take also in the same point, in those 9 points with the smart station approach. So the difference is, you can see the difference still, it is below centimeter level. The maximum one is observed to be like 4 centimeter. Otherwise, the rest measurements like below centimeter and millimeter level. So with this measurement, the total accuracy level was 9 millimeters, so that we can compare all those accuracies, so that we can see how much the performance of this smart station will be. Time-wise, or with regard to time expenditure, I investigated for the total station in the same points, the GPS article in the same points also, and finally the smart station in the same points, so that with those criteria or procedures of making those measurements, for instance, for setup, centering, target aiming, recording, changing station, like that one, so that the total station in light of instrument setup and prism. The prism one, it took totally 207 minutes in order to establish that network, or in order to measure that network. And with regard to GPS RTK, it took 143 minutes. And finally, with the smart station approach took 225 minutes. So we can also compare those time expenditures, because in this case, when we use the separate use of total station and GPS, it consumes separately 207 and 143. If we combine two of them, then it will be like 315. So we can compare 350 minutes with that of 225 minutes, because the same approach, with different approach, but with for the same purpose, we applied, but with the smart station, it was possible to save time in order to accomplish the same tasks. So with regard to cost expenditure for the smart station, almost in USD, it is almost 14,500. For the GPS, almost 32,000, we can say. For the smart station, $33,150. So that when we compare this smart station, because it is a combined system or a combined instrument that consisting of those two instruments, so even cost-wise, it is I can say it is affordable because of its prices. So as a conclusion, the smart station approach eliminates the need for control pointers. There is no to establish control pointers running long traverses, because also the big challenge of traverse will not be considered here, and resection approaches in order to establish new points, so that all those challenges and problems will not be the issue in the case of smart station. So accuracy-wise, the smart station approach provided a precision of 9 millimeters, which is within the tolerance limit of our cadastral standard. That compared to the total station 5 millimeter and the RTK measurement 2.1 centimeter. With regard to time and cost wise, you can see for the time 350 minutes was consumed in order to establish that network or in order to take measurement of that in that 9 control points. But on the other hand, 225 minutes, only these minutes was consumed in order to just establish that network. So we can see also time-wise how much we can save time through using this approach. Cost-wise, I have indicated that it is affordable. Finally, the use of smart station equipment is promising, especially in urban cadastral system, because when we see the accuracy, it is within the tolerance limit of our legal standard, so that it is still acceptable. So, as a takeaway message, smart station using a smart station approach technology improves accuracy, because we have seen that our standard is the measurement result is within our standard, so that it improves the accuracy. It provides real-time processing, because it avoids post-processing. Immediately we can get the required coordinates or the required results at on site or immediately after the measurement, and it reduces time and costs. So this is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Salah. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, please.
Did you find any disadvantages with the smart station? Do you think it was easy to use? Do you think people would need more training to use it? Or do you think if you know how to use the other two systems, you could use it fairly easily?
Still, as long as we are using those conventional instruments, still I am comparing because I am comparing with that of the separate use of that instrument, so that still I didn't get a kind of disadvantage with that, because in most cases we are using orthophoto or aerial photographs, but when there is a problem or a gap implementing through that orthophoto, we use this one to fill that gap. Otherwise, still this one is the major issue is about cost and time, so that it saves those parameters compared to that of the separate use of total station and GPS. So in my case, still I am really happy with that one.
Thank you. Any other comments? If you go back to the slide 17, in your in your comparison, when you're arriving to the accuracy, I'm just wondering that when you look at the total station itself, the accuracy actually has been, higher than the smart stations.
Yes.
So of course it is still under the tolerance that you are having for the cadastral system. But overall, it's perhaps when we are coming to the smart station, definitely is a smart and it can actually be. There are other type of advantages of having those as a combined one. But from the accuracy perspectives, it actually decreases. Do you know why?
Yes, because when we compare total station in GPS with total station, if you provide a kind of reference value, then the error that will be established afterwards will not be that much when compared to with that of GPS, because when we use GPS, it depends on the time and even date of that situation, because it will be obstructed by, it depends on the satellite signal, so that the satellite signal may affect all the time, so that even for that smart station, because it is using the satellite signal, so it affects the measurement of for the total station, because the total station will use its own accuracy and error. But for instance, if you take some kind of measurement in two places which are not far away, then for the first measurement, when you take with with GPS, you may get like 5 or 6 satellites. On the other point, you may get like 7 or 8 satellites, so that the accuracy of this one is better compared to this one because this station got lots of satellite compared to with this one. So when we come even into the smart station, the accuracy of the smart station will be affected to some extent by that of the satellite availability. So the smart always the accuracy of total station greater than that of total GPS, yes, because it depends on the number of satellite availability at any time. For instance,
that actually is going to be, same type of situation when we are actually using the smart station. Of course, it's also dependent to the number of signals you're getting at the same time, but that actually can actually happen in both type of setting. So I think it may actually require further checking to see why that type of accuracy decreases in that when you're combining these two. The other one is also similarly for the time, allocations. You have considered the other two, added on, yes, with that, and then compare to the smart one, which is less time consuming in doing this. But in reality, when you are going to use the both other options, you're not going to be exactly the same, because particularly if you combining these two, the other two, even to going through that, because we have done that in Malaysia, for example, and we arrive into new system integrating the both other options, which actually decreases the time. So it's not going to be similar. What as a combined one with the 350, when you actually dealing with that, it would also still reduces actually the time on this. So I would actually really suggest that with the accuracy and the time, if you're considering and combining and testing that one, you may arrive into a different type of outcome to that. Or maybe further, you already demonstrated 9 stations you have tested. But if you go further on that, hopefully you're arriving to the more precise, the outcome that would better guide it. Definitely, it's actually just the file for the smart station. But when we go to the individual, I think we can get better numbers of this. So that's just as a comment, and actually I'm feeling that it would be, because it would require a bit further evidence to provide why it's actually like this, if it is timing. And sometimes also even from the time perspective or the cost or the accuracy, we arrived at, although it is actually justified actually from the cost and also the accuracy, but the reality is how we can afford to not have that type of a smart station. So it would be much more protected if we go with a smart station. I'm very supportive of that. But those numbers need to be better justified that would actually allow us. Because if someone arriving to this and seeing that one saying that, oh, we are increasing the accuracy, but the timing, if they combine that, it will be also less than this. Anyway, that was just a comment on this. Thank you very much again. Please join me in thanking everyone. So now we are moving to the third presentations, which is going to be by Adino. Adino, very welcome. And Adino is from Bahir University, but he has actually studied in different universities. That's wonderful. And then he's going to talk about the 3D urban cadastre and property registration system, which is absolutely very important area, and it's also a core of our research center at the moment. We focus on the 3D cadastre. So I would like to hand back to you, and Adina also have studied with the KTH University in Sweden. So over to you, please. Join me to welcome Adina.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you. I'm going to present the paper on development of 3D urban cadastre and property registration system, which is applied in a small scale map system in Ethiopia. And this paper is mostly, or we are taking this paper as like an experimental type of paper. When I'm directly going to the introduction part of this paper, cadastre is, as all of you know, an official public record both urban land property, usually maintained to register location, ownership, land value, and other systems. So, in other words, individualization of property started originally with submission of parcel and using 2D boundary system, location based, which makes a 2D parcel to be basis in existing cadastral system. And currently, what we practiced in our country is a 2D cadastral system, which means mainly we are focusing on the XY plane coordinate systems. However, this cadastral system may not reflect the current tendency to use space above and under the surface. It means that what is on the surface of the parcel. Nowadays, we have developed in both directions, both horizontally and vertically, so that we have to accommodate all these systems. But still, we are accommodating or working on the 2D systems, which are not reflecting the above and the underground system of the surface. So it realizes that the 2D cadastral system cannot show what is created on the parcel of land currently, and the population does increased significantly in Ethiopia currently, which results shortage of land among the peoples. But mainly in the urban area, population is increased because in the rural areas, populations are coming to the urban area. Because of that, the population of the urban is very increasingly alarming. So that to control that, the government gives a land for these land parcels, and he's not accommodating for all the people there. So what he designed is condominium or apartment to accommodate for all the people, so that we have to register these lands. To fulfill this need, the Federal Democratic of Ethiopia construct condominium for low income in urban areas. Nowadays, in every Ethiopian cities have a condominium as well as apartment. Land and land property registration are important aspect of security of land tenure, collateral, reduce land dispute, increase effective municipal revenue from the land lease, and increase development. When we implement all these things, we benefited from all these issues. So different authors identifies the basic need for the 3D cadastral system at the first case to have a complete registration of 3D spaces, so that we have to be focused on these systems. That's why we are starting, we are developing, we are implementing, we have to implement the 3D cadastral systems. To represent and manage the 3D cadastral physical objects, 3D geospatial technology should be employed. Nowadays, we have to be thinking the 3D geospatial technology systems. Mainly, we are focusing 2D geospatial technology centers. That means only the XY planes. We have to be at the vertical dimensions. Geospatial science have challenge to represent the vertical dimension 3D real estate object or legal document using current cadastre. That means when we take Ethiopia have currently, as my friend presented on the total station GPS concern, we don't have a problem on the horizontal coordinates nowadays. But the vertical coordinates is a problem in Ethiopia still. We didn't get exact vertical coordinate systems. I think in the future we will solve all these things. But currently we have a problem with the vertical coordinate systems. So the 3D cadastral system should pay sufficient attention to 3D property situation, represent the boundary of property in all dimensions. So this research main investigation is that the 3D or current cadastral map produced by total station or any survey techniques. What we applied is we want to investigate or experiment by using the total station instrument and other techniques to overcome how 3D system is working. The current paper cadastre was based on the graphical or 2D system, so that this paper transformed the mechanism how to register the 3D physical object on the parcel. so that it shows how we are going to implement the 3D cadastral system. Now, the government working on 3D cadastral system. Frankly, what I want to tell you here is, in Ethiopia still, we are applying cadastral system, that's 3D cadastral system, or a legal cadastral system. From 10% of the land, still, only 10% of the land is registered for the cadastral system. That means we are not still yet started very well with the cadastral system as well. But for singly, we have a condominium, apartment, and other things. They push to do 3D cadastral system, so that maybe these two systems will integrate together. And that I'm presenting this paper, maybe some comment will become to how we are going to integrate this 2D system to a 3D systems. So the problems are today vertical urban development usually in all countries of the world. In Ethiopia, vertical development are common. So especially in Ethiopia, from recent condominium housing is strategic for Ethiopian federal government. And the allocation of urban land to high rise or a row of houses condominium building will contribute to maintain the beauty of the urban areas, and also to accommodate the peoples, because these peoples are going to the rural lands, expanding to the rural lands. So that affects the urban areas, the rural areas. Since the condominium house is divided into several parts of units for different ownership, the main problem is to clearly define and protect the right of 3D property in the cadastral systems. Therefore, 2D system cannot adequately manage and represent the spatial extent currently happening in the country, though 3D components system are not registered in Ethiopia currently. In this urban populated area, current administration system in Ethiopia use 2D cadastral data model, which do not efficiently facilitate representing and analyzing of 3D data, do not incorporate physical objects or the person. Because of all these problems, 3D cadastral system should be applied or realized in our country. So the main objective of this paper is to study the develop urban land system and transform the 2D system to 3D cadastral registration system. So I have some research questions: how to implement and manage registration of 3D condominium, what are the needs of 3D cadastral system, and how to model 3D urban cadastral system, 3D object or 3D registration, how to design and implement 3D urban cadastral land registration system for acquiring, editing, ownership, and other information for better land management systems. This question should be answered when the papers. So the area what I worked is the case study is a condominium building around Kabale 14 Bahir, Ethiopia, which has subdivided group plus 4 used for residence purpose, and this is the condominium, and we are practicing. We are doing our experiment on this condominium. So using this condominium, using the different network measurement systems, we are going to implement the 3D cadastral registration systems. So condominium house registration in Ethiopia. Condominium house is a name given to the form of housing tenure which is residents household own their individual units that equally share ownership and responsibility for the communal area and the facility of the building, such as hallways, heating systems, and elevators. All these things are accommodated when we are registering condominium. So condominium defined by Ethiopian system is like this. Usually, the external maintenance of the roof, the wall, undertaken by condominium association that jointly represent ownership of the whole complex, employing strict management to ensure funding from each homeowners. This association consists of representative of all condominium residents who manage the site through board of director or elected association members. What 3D data, 3D models? When we are applying 3D data and 3D models, 3D data are captured by ground survey. This is a key task for this work, and the next step is spatial modeling of urban cadastre. So what we did here is we are using ground surveying approach. When we are using ground surveying approach, by collecting all corners of the boundary with its elevation by a reflectorless EDM mode measurement system. That means reflectorless mode means we have our instrument now, the latest type of instruments like translation instrument have both mode of measurement systems like reflector and reflectorless mode of measurement systems. This reflectorless measurement system is Like remotely, we can collect any distance, angle, coordinate for specific points. So without any reflector, we can, using reflectorless mode, we can make a measurement. When you set up the instrument here, you can make a measurement from the distance without any reflector. So that we applied reflectorless mode because the condominium is high-rise building, we can't get every corner of each ownership or every corner of angles, so that we use reflectorless mode. I know the disadvantage of this reflectorless mode when we are applying on each specific. This is because when we reflect there, we have to get the exact point that you should be sure you are making exactly the point you need when you are making reflectorless mode. When you have reflector, the reflector should sense exactly what you want. But this one has some disadvantages. Maybe we'll talk later. The foundation of all 3D parcel map are the 3D parcel boundary, which is common property for all. So that this means that if the two-dimensional coordinates of the boundary are known, these coordinates are the same for all which are vertical over the parcel. If you get the distance from the ground, the top of the building, the coordinates on top of the building is similar with the ground, but we need the height data from every floors, from 1 floor, 2 floors, 3 floor, 4. So we have to know the vertical distance, the vertical coordinate of every floors. But the coordinate is similar, all of you. In this instance, only the outer boundary of the property unit is needed in 3D cadastre. It is very difficult to collect data for the internal boundary of the unit. Sometimes there is some building is internally in the building. That should be measured as well. So that the collected data for this task is outer boundary of the building and the height of each floor of the building. Additionally, the condominium building are not irregular shape. Sometimes the condominium house are not irregular shape. Because of that, to measure directly, for me, this the researcher use traditional method to measure the inner studios. Sometimes we are using traditional methods, like mostly we are using total station or GPS, but traditional methods like method, other instruments should be necessary to make internal. So 3D urban cadastral land registration system. Recently, Ethiopia city show very rapidly growth in different activity. One of this development is urban development. We can see urban development in two ways, horizontal and vertical, as I already informed about this one. The vertical development is very increasing in different Ethiopian cities. So to overcome this, we need condominium apartment in every Ethiopian city. Because of that, this property has to register to secure the property. So secure the model data in one package for urban cadastre system is very necessary. So we have to be develop urban 3D urban cadastre system to accommodate all these 3D cadastre systems. To develop this easy user interface is needed 7 different packages to support the 3D cadastre registration system. There are 3D object holders, 3D property object, 3D geometry, 3D survey point, 3D survey observation, 3D external sources. All of these are applicable when we are implementing, when we are designing the 3D cadastre systems. By the way, when we are working on this 3D cadastre system, we have different types of teams, like surveyor team and computer expert team, other GIS expert team, so that all these teams are working together to implement or to work on the 3D cadastre system. This is hierarchy register urban land with objects created on the parcel and spatial attribute related with 3D owners. The 3D cadastre object model in AutoCAD. What we use is the old-fashioned softwares, AutoCAD softwares, to model the 3D view of the building. After we are collecting the 2D data and we are adding the 3D, the vertical information, then we are modeling using AutoCAD informations. But nowadays there is very advanced softwares to model different types of features. But we will see what will happen next. And exported to SQL database management system and attribute related with the 3D object is saved inside SQL and connected inside 3D urban cadastre land registration which developed. All this information are connected with the developer softwares. So this is the graph what we are applying when we are applying the system. This is our graph. 3D urban cadastre systems, there's holders, persons, groups, organization, property objects, surveying methods, legal property objects, queries, different. When some systems designed, there should be systematic graphs shows how the system is developed and worked. When we are looking some results and discussions, after modeling activity is finished using AutoCAD, the building is finished by using AutoCAD, we are modeling by using AutoCAD. Registration system has to follow to do this. The researcher developed the system, 3D urban cadastral land registration system, which is one of our computer experts worked on 3D urban cadastral land registration system. They are requiring the registration of the property, the registration of the public building, government building, and developed complete flexible custom applications for the registration management and operability of their own network in order to ensure their unhindered operation, being responsible to keep them upgrade, and other state of the art. All this should be worked. Similar, the registration procedure combined with the authorized system will allow free access, because when we are making the land registration system, it should be secured enough so that there should be nobody can be freely access the registration systems or the database systems. In the interface as password and username to allow administrator to do data editing, insertion, and deletion, so that we have to have administrator to do all that activities. In addition to that, user didn't have opportunity to query and visualize the building unit without the authorized company, because we need to have authorized company to give all these elements or responsibilities. So password should be created, because this is the land, what's all of you know what land means for everyone, so that to overcome any problems, we have to be very restricted passwording systems, and we try to design password system. And this is our system. I already printed out a screenshot from the system. By the way, we did this system in the local server, in the Bahir University, Ethiopia, the local server. The server is working for the student management system, student information management system. We have a software in the university. Using that software, we try to explore, we try to define, design the 3D urban cadastral registration system. But when we are working for country level, I think the Ministry of Urban Development Infrastructure Office should buy very advanced compatible software which accommodates all that land parcels for this 3D cadastral system. But we are experimenting by using our local network, local software systems. So this is a system, and we have to be logging. After login, we are looking at this one, because this was welcome to the urban cadastral system. You have to be logging this one. To log in, you have a passport, and after the passport, we are looking at these pages. Then we have to be registered owner registration. Owner registration data entry interface. We have to enter all required informations. That is, we have a standard nowadays in Ethiopia. The government try to declare some proclamations, regulations, and also standards, so that we have to, based on that standard regulations, we have to figure out and complete all necessary information when we are registered every land parcels. And also we have this page, house coordinate systems, house ID, house number, its value, house type, land type, every information should be accommodated. We are selecting house, we are giving house numbers, unique house numbers. By that, this is a symbol, by the way. When we have a unique IP address, our unique IP address for Ethiopia system is 14 digits, I think. Yes, 14 digits. So we have to register all the 14 digits. By that, we can 1-4. And we have land coordinates, the XY coordinates, land coordinates. And also we have to add, when we are implementing a 3D cadastral system, we have to add the Z coordinates. We need the Z coordinates in every floors. After we are designing that, we have to visualization is the main concept. Without visualization of 3D objects, 3D property cannot be represented in the so-called 3D cadastral map, which shows the location of the object and property in space. The aim of visualization is to show the location as well as the context of 3D cadastral objects, highlighted some them on the same page, so that when we are entering every code or every land parcels, we have to be visualized where that place, where that location is. So the interface prepared for or developed for visualization, information, and registration, the new real property 3D urban cadastre system, visualize and updating any information, so that we have to be we can update any information anytime when they need updating. Then the main output of the query or visualization, the result shows the precise boundary of property unit and its 3D locations. It is those space may be delimited by the physical wall of the or fence of the parcel, and the visualization of the cadastre illustrates the distribution of occupations, partition of land parcels, spaces, and urban space to give clear idea for users or support decision making for the government. The government boundaries of the cadastre and the statutory or legal geographic services. The report delivery for the customer also visualized in the report column. So that after we are looking all information, we can query the page. We have the query pages. We are already designed this one so that the query page we can select, we can search needed information, and also we have also the report page. After we are searching the necessary value or the parcel land, we can print out the report page. As a conclusion, a successful 3D cadastre system contributes a unique tool and lever for any effort for sustainable development in urban land planning and in every aspect of technical, financial, social, and legal issue of our everyday life. It can also be used as a means for political decision and pressures. Before I am finishing, I write what I write. The last message.
Take it away.
Take it away. And yeah, I write here in my mobile. Integrated surveying approach, both traditional and modern system, will be applicable for the realization of 3D cadastre system.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much. Very good. So I'm very pleased to hear that. Are there any questions, comments to our distinguished speaker? Let me I start with that. Definitely it's very important when we talk about the urban and the third dimension. So you actually already gone through this. What is the status at the moment of the system? You've tested, you provided some of the dimension opportunities for managing those. So is this something that the government's now adopting and to go ahead with this? And if they did, or have you started with that and how far you've gone, or what is the next plan?
Okay. What we did is we are working this in the university. We are using the university resource.
Yes.
But what we did is the responsibility for the 3D cadastre systems, the Ministry of Urban Development Infrastructure Office. We present for that work what we did. But that worked only in the Bahir University campus. When you are out in the Bahir University campus, it will not work. So that what they are designing is they will buy software, very high capacity software to accommodate all information. So that at real purpose, as I informed previously, it's experimental type of paper. So that they say, from this information, they will post items. In the campus, we tried this working. Outside the campus,
what I would suggest, I mean, in order to progress, definitely what you have done at the right things by doing that investigations, but it's not requires the government's backing that from the legislation perspective, as well as also the requirements that it's going to be for the councils or other planning divisions to have this at the third dimension. We can go to the very advanced 3D system to manage, depending to the requirements, particularly for the, as you have demonstrated, for the part related to the major buildings. The simple, perhaps a step forward for that would be the communicating with the wider surveying firms that while they are doing the capturing information in 2D, they're just taking the third dimension and keeping that one event as the attributes in the database, not essentially, going to the very sophisticated system to be built, but at least while they're doing any type of surveying practice, they can at least have the third dimension, which is not going to be adding any extra much actually to their efforts, but it's actually creating significant value for the the country, that by having that third dimension at least stored in the 2D database as an attribute. And then later on, those attributes can be leveraged off and then goes to the further advancement of the system. So I think if in your system, if you communicating that with the Ministry of Urban Affairs, that they can at least guiding that any type of surveying is going to happen, just the third, just with whatever system you use, you can have the third dimension captured already in the system. But then later on, there is a way to monitoring that or converting that into the very valuable, the different stage of development. Thank you so much. You're most welcome. Yes, anything else? All right, very pleased with all the three very good presentation, and I'm hoping that all these three actually combined and communicated and advanced in the system that you are conducting. I had a pleasure of visiting your beautiful country, and I know that actually again how important is, particularly when I go to what Professor Adam has indicated from the agricultural aspects and also the governance, and then talking with the accuracy of the system and how to integrate in that, and then arriving to the third dimension that would actually again bring much more value or protecting the investments that actually going through this. So I wish all of you very best, and hopefully those can advance the system and also the next generation of practitioners that all of you, similar to us as academicians that actually are doing this. Please join me to thank all the three presenters. Yes, and if we can have a presentation with the three distinguished presenters, can we go back to the first slide of the session? Please. The colleagues can put that funny. The slides related to the session, the banner of the session, perhaps. If we go out of this presentation, then this one's the first when we came to the meeting.
Oh, wait, this is the first slide.
First slide, which is about the World Bank Land Conference, the banner of the conference. Need to go out. If it is not actually okay, we go.
Oh, maybe
There was a blue actually, the land conference. Well, Adam had that one. Yeah. You put this one on.
Oh, that was